Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Behind the Business. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Amanda. I am the co-founder of the Mortgage Boutique, and I'm here today with Carina. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Amanda. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Carina, and I'm an identity and style advisor. Amanda, do you want to give us a bit of a reminder as to why we set up Behind the Business?
Of course I will. So me and Carina have been having these conversations in private for quite some time now, and we talk a lot about business, whether it be on VN, over a coffee, at an event, breakfast, however it looks. And we talk a lot about various aspects of the business, and we wanted to share it with people. Hopefully there's some good takeaways for people. They can ask us questions on things that maybe we've had challenges with, some little life hacks around business. And yeah, we wanted to really just share this information. We've covered off various topics over the past few weeks. And today, yeah, tell us about today's topic, Carina.
Yeah, so today we're going to be discussing building our businesses through our people, or through people, I should say, through our people. So the reason why we've chosen this topic is because we feel it flows very naturally after the couple of topics that we've spoken about. So we've spoken about networking, we've spoken about defining your ideal client. And I think at the moment, there is a lot of focus on all of the things that we should be doing in order to grow our business. And all of these things usually cost money. But actually, growing your business through people, it's free of charge. So we thought, why not just discuss a couple of the different ways in which we found growing our business to be useful, but really delve into different aspects as well. So I guess another thing that we've talked about as well is the fact that it's very relevant to the UAE market. And it's not just who you know, but it's actually how you build those relationships as well. So we covered this last week in defining your ideal client. So we're going to delve into this just a little bit more as well. Hopefully this will be useful to the listeners. I know that, so myself and Amanda, we haven't always been entrepreneurs. So we've both come from corporate environments, and I feel like as entrepreneurs, it doesn't always come naturally to do some of these things, or to at least understand what it is that we're meant to be doing through some of these things as well. So we're going to talk about 3 different points today. We're going to talk about referrals, we're going to talk about collaborations and partnerships as well. So without further ado, let's delve into referrals. Amanda, do you want to kick off and talk to us about referrals?
Sure. So I think there are 3 key points to cover today, and it does look different for everybody depending on their business, who they are intrinsically as a person as well, how they approach those topics. But referrals, you know, I personally, for my business, we don't do any paid marketing. So it's all through referral, recommendation, the quality of the relationships that I build. My time is spent investing in those relationships because ultimately they generate business and clients for my business. And that's not to say that you don't have to do any marketing at all. I think it's a huge topic at the moment where a lot of people have pulled back from marketing. They're not allocating funds there. They need to allocate those funds maybe elsewhere in their businesses. But that doesn't mean you go radio silent. That is absolutely, in my viewpoint, going to kill your business. You just drop off the radar. You're doing the bare minimum. So for me, referrals, collaborations, partnerships are a great supportive alternative for people that maybe cannot at the moment allocate the full marketing funds that they'd like to, but they still want visibility. They still want to show up in that space. That space is now, you know, there's a void there, so to speak, because a lot of people have pulled back. So how else do you utilize that? For me personally, it's through networking and taking the time for follow-up, to build those relationships, appreciating that it's not necessarily instant as well. You know, instant gratification can be another killer of a business in my viewpoint. How do referrals work for you, for example?
Yeah, so the one thing I was thinking actually is, and we're talking about obviously having the money to spend on various things to grow your business, but actually, and this was particularly relevant when I was first starting out my coaching business. So I found that actually, and it was a lot of my friends that were supporting me, but some of the best referrals and some of the best client relationships actually came from friends introducing me to people. So those were some of the initial referrals that I got. And I think sometimes as well, especially when we're first starting out, we often feel like you need to have business there in the first place, right? So in order to get referrals, you need to have clients that have worked with you and can experience your services. And of course, that's completely true. But in actual fact, when you're first starting out, there are other people around you. So like we spoke about, you start going out networking, people get to know you, they start learning and understanding about your credibility, and they can refer you to people. Like I say, for me, actually, it came from friends who I've worked with in the past and friends who actually I haven't worked with. But I think the benefit of that, and I think the reason why those relationships became so strong, was the fact that it wasn't just me building that relationship with that potential client from the outset and trying to do all of the things like introduce myself, explain how I work. There was actually somebody else who knew me that could support that kind of messaging. And therefore, together, we could test out whether or not that was going to be a workable relationship. Does that make sense? Am I explaining that properly?
Yeah, I really like that, actually. I want to just circle back on the friendship bit there, because I can honestly say a lot of my friends were my biggest supporters when I first started the business. And a lot of my initial clients came through them because they know me as a person, as a credible person. They know my work ethic. They knew my passion for the business, which, of course, the brand wasn't visible then. I wasn't visible, so people didn't know that. So friends are a great source of referrals. A lot of my initial clients came through my friends. They'd refer me to their colleagues. And then what would happen is my client would then refer me to their colleagues and so forth. And it's just a dominoes effect. It's a great source of business revenue, potentially, to tap into your friendships. They know you.
Yeah.
Like that, they're the best people to put you in front of somebody and what you do. But really, it is about the relationship with the client. As we've discussed previously, it's about the energies, the alignment, the values. Well, who knows you better than your friends?
Exactly.
It's like free marketing. There you go.
Yeah, definitely. But it also leverages what we were talking about before when it comes to networking as well. So you and I are very aligned in this sense of how we go out and we build relationships through networking. So yeah, it would be great if we walked into every single event and there would be 5 clients just sat there going, hey, yeah, work with me. But in actual fact, it's not necessarily going to work like that. And so we go to networking sessions and events and to build relationships. And actually, you and I are a really good example of this. We've become friends through that. And so this is the kind of, it's not just your direct group of friends. That was my first port of call. But actually, as I started to build my business more and more and grow my network more and more, actually it was the friends that I also established through networking as well.
For me, we definitely established a friendship before we'd even considered the work stuff. And obviously now we've created a collaboration off of the back of it. But actually, sometimes you just meet people you click with, and it doesn't matter if you're worlds apart in business. It's great to have friends in your network. Like they are your go-to people who can support you. Like we have these chats, and hence why now we've created this. So off the back of a networking event, we created a friendship. We then built on that friendship, and now we've stepped into a collaboration, i.e. LinkedIn Live. We never went in with that intention. We were never like, oh, okay, what are we going to get from this? It just flowed. And sometimes you've got to trust in the process and know that it's not going to be instant gratification. Actually, there's other values that you can potentially get from the relationships that you build. Are they always going to be mutual? No. Sometimes your service is not required for other people's clients or vice versa. For me, a big piece with referrals is people, they automatically think, oh, our business is aligned. Oh, great. So I want access to your client straight away. Absolutely not, is my answer.
Yeah.
Very nicely, but no. Like my clients, as for most people, are the biggest asset to your business. So if I'm going to refer my clients to somebody, there's got to be a built relationship there. And that's why it's so important to build those businesses, to start building your referrals. Also, when you are consistent and you do show up, and again, it's how you show up in these relationships, like you said earlier, that's what brings the value. Because if you're not showing up, you're not in the forefront of people's minds. For the people, I can hand on heart say and confidently say, for a lot of the people in my network, if they're speaking to people about mortgages, I am the person that they think about, because I've taken the time to invest in those relationships and also support those people where I can in their businesses, however that looks, whether that's connecting them with somebody else who can actually give them access to clients, or supporting them in inviting them to other networking events. Like, there's no hard, fast rules around how you support people. It can look however it looks for you. But if you're both investing in it, that's easily how the relationship builds. And obviously,
And I was just going to add to that point as well. I feel like the better you know those people and the better they know you, again, when they're referring you to people that potentially you're going to work with, they're going to introduce you in a certain way that's going to tee you up very honestly, very authentically. They're going to talk about Amanda and what she's like and how she works, not to a huge degree, but it helps to then segue into how you then come across when you're dealing with that person. They go, oh yeah, Amanda's exactly what I expected. And then the relationship that you continue to build as you're working together. And then the end result is completely seamless because you've built a relationship on expectations that have been managed accurately the whole way through.
Well, it looks how it was set out.
And we're talking about growing our businesses through people, right? So that then leads on to naturally other referrals, because it's like, okay, so you want someone who's going to work like X. Definitely, this is my experience that I've had with Amanda, and she was like that the whole way through. So again, then that leads on to more referrals, obviously, and you're growing your business in a really organic way as well. I feel like we're moving quite naturally onto collaboration. So should we start talking a little bit more about collaborations as well? Yeah.
Well, we're a prime example of a collaboration that's come very naturally.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think, and this is the thing, I think the more you get to know people as well in your network, you're going to start to build out those ideas. And so I often think about events as well. So when I'm not first talking to people, but the more I get to know people, and I think to myself, okay, you do something similar to me, but you do something a little bit different to me. And therefore we could team up and we could offer something jointly. So we can offer an event that touches on this broader conversation, and I take this angle and you take this angle. And actually then you're sharing the workload and you're also sharing audiences as well, which is a fantastic way of being able to increase your business. And I feel like we've done that, and not necessarily because we do something that 100% marries up from a profession perspective, but it's more in the sense of this is how we work as entrepreneurs. And that's where we've seen the opportunity to collaborate, right?
Yeah, I think, definitely. And like, it's interesting how you put that across there, because honestly, one of the things I would say is sometimes, and I am guilty of this, sometimes I'll meet somebody and you think it's a great match and you've only just met. And I've rushed into collaborations before in my early days of business and then had to step away from them because actually I haven't taken the time. I've been a bit too excitable and gone straight in. And actually my encouragement to people is to, no different to what we did, get to know each other, spend time, cross paths at networking, build a relationship, to make sure that being out in the public domain together, like we are now, actually works for you both, because it's awkward to try and get out of that situation. It's not impossible, and I personally have had to do it, and it was a learning curve, definitely. But I think the collaborations, they have to take time, I think. That from a business perspective and a box ticking exercise, there'll be plenty of people out there that absolutely would be a good fit. but it's the personalities and it's the relationship that has to ultimately be the final sign off for me, because otherwise it's a different. I found that the client experience was different and the feedback was mixed, and I was like, I don't really want mixed feedback when I'm doing collaborations and I'm referring clients. What I want is constantly positive feedback, because I've taken the time to match my clients with the right service or product provider that they needed, rather than just rushing into a collab because I got excited. So, you know, you learn. You learn when it comes to
and it's
oh, sorry.
Go on. No, please carry on. I thought you were finished.
Well, I was just going to say, like, and that, you know, does tie in nicely again with the partnerships. You know, collabs is one thing, but actually having a business partnership, I mean, that looks very different. That's quite a business commitment. From my viewpoint, it's the next level to just a collaboration where you're putting maybe content out together. You know, when you're, like you said, you're partnering up with another designer. Okay, this is now a business partnership. And I don't know what experiences you've had with that, if there's any that you'd want to share.
Yeah, so this is interesting. So as I said to you before, I actually think this, credit to you, I think this is something that you're much better at than I am, in terms of putting in place actual collaboration relationships in a partnership sense. I'm starting to get better at it, but yeah, I don't necessarily go there with my thinking, if that makes sense. But I think where I've run into issues as a result is that I build that up on an informal basis. So in the past, I've done that, and then it's just very grey, right? Who's to say that anyone is actually going to introduce me to their clients or vice versa? Who's to say that they are going to base it on the right kind of decision making? Have we sat down and actually gone through, you know, this is what my ideal client looks like. This is how they like to work, because this is how I like to work. So I've said before, right, I talk about accountability a lot when it comes to my clients. I need my clients to be accountable. Why? Because otherwise they're not going to get the best out of the service that I'm providing to them. And it's something that I hold particularly strong in my set of values as well. But have I done that before when I've been working with people from an informal perspective? Have I gone into that level of detail? Probably not. So yeah, I think, like I said, something that you probably do a lot better than I do.
I don't think it's a case of doing better. It's just a case of whether the right opportunities have come along. So I'll just give a prime example. The conveyancer that I use, you know, and partnerships don't have to have monetary reciprocation in regards to like a referral fee or a snippet of anything. It can just be a case of, I work with my conveyancer because she provides exactly the same service level that I do. We are so aligned in the client experience and how we work together. The synergy is just exceptional. So my clients get great service from her, and together we work collectively so well. It's such a vibe. It is just a vibe. So we have a partnership, but we have formalized that. So yes, we built a friendship, we built a relationship, and then we went into formalizing the partnership. Okay, this is how it looks. So when I onboard you with my clients, we know what the service level agreement is. It's the same across the board. And all I do is get positive feedback from my clients for working with the conveyancer that I introduce them to. That for me is an ideal partnership. And I think, again, that's a way, and then she can potentially introduce, maybe not clients to me, because by the time they come to her, they may already have, you know, that, well, they will have already had somebody in place to support them with their finances. But she has other people in her network, like real estate agents, for example, that use her, that she could then introduce me to, and then they can utilize me for their clients if they want to. So it's about thinking outside of the box sometimes, and not just thinking, I want a quick fix, I want quick access to other people's clients. Because why should people give you access to their clients when you haven't proven that you're going to look after them the way that they look after them? And that is a huge piece for me.
100%. I totally agree. It's interesting what you say as well about thinking outside of the box, because I do think that there are other ways in order to set up partnerships as well. So one thing that I did with a couple of people, actually, which was when I was first starting out my coaching business, was to set up corporate relationships, leveraging my HR network. And so I would go in and I would deliver corporate workshops, but we would also marry up in terms of the social media. And so that worked really nicely in terms of promotion. So that wasn't necessarily talking about sharing clients directly, but actually that was something that we were able to partner on. And that was a formal agreement as well that we did. So it's, yeah, there are different ways in which you can structure your partnerships as well, I think.
Yeah, I like that. And I think, I mean, I kind of want to look, obviously, to wrap our chat up for today, because we've hit our 10 minute
look
mark.
at the
But
time.
I think that, I know, but I think it is a good one, because it just goes to show with referrals, collaborations and partnerships, actually it's not as black and white as you think, and there is actually hidden opportunities in there, and there's marketing opportunities in there that, as you said, are free of charge. So hopefully this has given people a bit of a takeaway of, actually, I may not have the marketing budget that I want right now, but it doesn't mean that I go invisible. It doesn't mean that I stop showing up. It doesn't mean that I don't work on my brand awareness. It just maybe looks a bit different. And that's what, you know, I find myself saying that a lot lately. Things just look different lately. It doesn't mean they've stopped. So hopefully this has given some people some food for thought. And obviously, if they want to ask us anything on it, they're welcome to reach out to us. We're always happy to share. We're not gatekeeping here. You know, if we can share stuff with people that helps, you know, promote and accelerate their businesses, then yeah, that's what we're doing it for. So yeah, I've really enjoyed today's chat. It really, really feels like a good piece to share with people.
Likewise,
so I'll let you pass up for this session, Carina.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think, so the one thing we should probably mention is that we are going to take a little bit of a summer break. So we're going to take a few weeks off as, well, I'm going to be traveling. Amanda's going to be traveling. I recommend that everyone travels. If you didn't see my post yesterday, you'll understand why. Shameless plug there, but there we go. But yeah, so we will keep you posted and we will be back. We're not going to leave it too long. And we will certainly be back as well. So we'll share little bits and pieces over the next few weeks as well with our LinkedIn audience, so that you don't think we've gone completely cold. And as always, if you do have other conversations, and if you do have other topics that you'd like us to cover, then we are all ears. So please do let us know.
Thanks, Carina. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Amanda. Happy weekend.